My mother told everyone I was pretending to be allergic until the paramedic held up my dinner plate and asked, "Who added walnut oil to this?" For 3 seconds, nobody moved. My sister's fork stayed halfway to her mouth. My father stopped smiling. My mother's hand tightened around the serving spoon like it had suddenly become evidence instead of silverware, and I sat at the end of the table with my lips tingling, skin burning, and heart hammering. My name is Maya Ellis. I'm 29 years old, and I work as a food safety coordinator for a public school district in Dayton, Ohio. My job is to make sure no child is handed the wrong lunch tray, no allergy plan gets ignored, and no adult decides that a medical note is just being picky. I had spent years training cafeteria workers to take allergies seriously, but inside my own family, I was still the dramatic girl who made every meal complicated. My tree nut allergy was not a preference. It was not a diet trend. It was not me trying to control the menu. It was documented by doctors, written on emergency forms, and repeated at every family dinner since I was 13, when a bite of walnut cookie sent me to the hospital for the first time. Yet my mother, Elaine, always sighed when I asked what was in a dish. My father, Robert, called me the ingredient police. My older sister, Brooke, joked that I could detect a nut from across the street if it meant ruining a party. That Saturday night was supposed to be a celebration for my parents' 40th anniversary. My mother had invited relatives, neighbors, church friends, and half the people she wanted to impress. She decorated the dining room with gold candles, white roses, and photographs of a family that looked kinder than it was. Before I arrived, I texted her one question. "Will there be nuts in the food?" she replied. "For once, can you just come and enjoy your family?" That should have been my warning. But the bigger warning came later, when I noticed my safe plate had the same glossy dressing as everyone else's. I asked my mother quietly, "Is this the separate serving?" She smiled without looking at me. "Yes, Maya, I didn't forget. You don't have to inspect everything like a federal agent." Brooke heard that and laughed. "Careful, Mom, she might write you up." A few relatives chuckled. I felt my face heat, but I did what I always did. I swallowed the embarrassment because the alternative was being called sensitive before dessert. My cousin's husband, Liam, sat across from me. He was a paramedic and had joined the family only a year earlier, so he still looked uncomfortable when my relatives made cruelty sound like teasing. He asked, "Do you want me to double-check anything?" My mother answered before I could. "She has been eating at this table her whole life. She'll survive one anniversary dinner." The sentence was meant to sound harmless, but something in Liam's face changed. I should have listened to that change. I took one small bite. At first, nothing happened. Then the back of my tongue prickled. I set down my fork. A strange heat spread across my cheeks, then down my neck. My stomach rolled. My fingers went cold. I tried to breathe slowly, telling myself maybe it was panic because they had trained me to question my own body before questioning them. Then my throat tightened. Not closed, not completely, but enough that every breath became work. I whispered, "Something is wrong." My mother kept pouring lemonade. Brooke rolled her eyes. "Here we go." My father leaned back in his chair. "Maya, don't start. Your mother worked all week on this dinner." I touched my neck. "I think there are nuts in this." My mother's smile vanished. "There are no nuts in your plate." "Then why is my mouth burning?" "Because you get anxious when attention isn't on you." That sentence landed with the same old weight. The family version of reality had arrived before the medical one could speak. I tried to stand, but the chair scraped too loudly and the room looked at me. My aunt asked if I needed water. Brooke said, "Water won't fix imaginary allergies." Liam stood up. He didn't ask permission. He moved to my side, looked at my face, then my hands, then the plate. "Maya, where is your auto-injector?" "In my purse," I managed. My mother snapped, "Don't encourage this." Liam's voice became sharp. "Elaine, call 911." The room went quiet, not because they were worried yet, because someone outside the family script had changed the scene. My father said, "She's fine. She does this when she feels cornered." Liam picked up my plate, smelled the dressing, and looked toward the kitchen. "Who made the dressing?" My mother froze. Brooke's face lost color for 1 second. Then she covered it with irritation. "Are you seriously interrogating us at dinner?" Liam did not blink. I'm asking who put walnut oil in this dressing. That was when my mother's hand slipped on the serving spoon, and the sound of metal hitting china made every guest turn toward her. I heard someone whisper, "Walnut?" Another voice said, "But Maya's allergic." My mother recovered quickly. She always did. "It's just a little artisan oil," she said. "It can't be that serious." Liam stared at her. "It can absolutely be that serious." My throat tightened again. The edges of the room softened. Liam gave clear instructions to a neighbor, sent Brooke for my purse, and told my father to move back when he tried to stand over me and argue. My father puffed up. "Young man, you don't come into my house and order people around," Liam answered without looking away from me. "Then don't make your dining room a medical scene." By the time the ambulance arrived, my mother's anniversary candles were still burning, and nobody had touched the cake. The paramedics checked me, asked about exposure, and listened while Liam explained that he had found walnut oil in the dressing on my plate. My mother cried then, not quietly, not because I was scared, because people were listening. "I would never hurt my child," she said. Liam looked at the serving bowl, then at the bottle he had found near the stove. No one said hurt. We said exposed. Those words followed me into the ambulance. Exposed. That was what had happened, not just to my body. To the whole family pattern, at the hospital, the doctor treated the reaction seriously. She explained that even if the symptoms had not progressed to the worst possible outcome, exposure after a known allergy was dangerous and should never be dismissed. She asked how the food had been prepared, whether I had eaten knowingly, and whether the exposure was accidental. I almost answered the way my family would prefer. I almost said, it was probably a misunderstanding. But before I could, Liam spoke from the chair near the wall. She asked in advance. They told her it was safe. Then her mother said it was just a little artisan oil. The doctor looked at me. "Is that accurate?" My throat hurt. My hands were shaking, but I nodded. Yes. It was the first official yes I had ever given against my family. 20 minutes later, while I was still attached to monitors, my phone lit up with a message from my mother. "Are you satisfied now? Everyone thinks I poisoned you." I stared at those words until they blurred. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "I am sorry." Not, "I should have listened." "Are you satisfied now?" As if my body had reacted to embarrass her, as if the ambulance was a performance review she had failed in public. For years, I had believed the problem was that I could not explain my allergy clearly enough. Maybe if I printed the doctor's note, maybe if I brought my own food, maybe if I smiled while asking, maybe if I made my needs smaller and softer and less inconvenient, my family would eventually take them seriously. But lying in that hospital bed, reading my mother's message, I understood something brutal. They understood, they just resented being asked to care. Being believed should not be a luxury. The nurse on duty, a woman named Tessa, noticed my phone shaking in my hand. "Do you want visitors tonight?" she asked. Before I could answer, my father's voice came from the hall. "We're her parents." Tessa stepped into the doorway, calm as stone. "She is an adult patient." "I am asking her." My parents entered anyway because they were used to occupying every space before I could give permission. Brooke slipped in behind them, clutching her coat like she was the injured one. My mother rushed to the bed with tears shining. My poor baby. I looked at her. "You told me it couldn't be serious. I was overwhelmed. You told me it was just a little oil." She flinched because she had not expected me to repeat her exact words. My father folded his arms. "Maya, your mother made a mistake. Don't turn it into a trial." Brooke added, "You scared everyone. Do you know how bad Mom looked?" There it was. The real injury, how bad Mom looked, not how bad my throat felt. Not how frightened I was when I could not trust the plate in front of me. Not how many years I had been mocked for a condition that could kill me. I asked, "Who put walnut oil in the dressing?" My mother looked away. Brooke answered too quickly, "Nobody did it to you." "That's not what I asked." My father sighed. This obsession with blame is exactly why family dinners are miserable. Nurse Tessa looked at me. "Would you like them to leave?" My mother's mouth opened in disbelief. "Excuse me?" Tessa kept her eyes on me. "Maya, do you feel safe continuing this conversation?" No one in my family had ever asked me that with the intention of honoring the answer. My chest tightened. But this time it was not the allergy. It was fear of changing my role. I had always been responsible for reducing tension. I apologized when someone else insulted me. I laughed when they mocked me. I brought my own food and then comforted them for feeling judged by it. But I remembered Liam holding my plate like evidence. I remembered my mother's message. I remembered the paramedic saying exposed, so I said, "No," one word. My mother's tears stopped. My father straightened. Brooke whispered, "Maya, don't be ridiculous." Tessa opened the door wider. "The visit is over." My mother began crying again, but this time the tears had nowhere to go. No one rushed to hand them meaning. As they left, my father turned back and said, "You'll regret humiliating your family." I looked at him and said, "I regret trusting the food." The next morning, I learned my mother had already rewritten the story before sunrise. In the family group chat, she posted a long message about a frightening misunderstanding and Maya's anxiety around food. She said she had been verbally attacked by a guest in her own home while trying to host a beautiful anniversary dinner. Brooke added, "Nobody forced her to eat. She always needs a scene." My cousin replied with a sad face. An aunt wrote, "Maya, please apologize to your mother. She is devastated." I read it from the hospital bed while the discharge papers sat beside me. Reduced exposure to known triggers. Follow up with allergy specialist. Avoid unsafe food environments. The medical instructions were clearer than my family's morality. Avoid unsafe food environments. That meant more than kitchens. It meant people. I sent one message to the group chat. I asked if the food was safe. I was told yes. Walnut oil was used. I will not discuss this as a misunderstanding until everyone involved tells the truth. Then I left the chat. My phone exploded. I did not answer. Instead, I asked Liam to send me the photos he had taken while waiting for the ambulance. He had photographed the walnut oil bottle beside the stove, the dressing bowl, the ingredient label, and my plate. He had also photographed something I had not seen: a handwritten grocery list, anniversary dressing walnut oil, Maya plate, use same, don't make separate. I stared at that second line so long the room faded around it. You same. Don't make separate. It had not been a forgotten ingredient. It had been a decision written in my mother's handwriting. I sent the photos to myself, then to a private folder, then to my allergist. Liam said quietly, "You need to know something else." I looked up. He hesitated, and I could tell he did not want to hurt me more. Before dinner, Brooke joked that tonight would prove whether your allergy was real. I felt my stomach drop. What did she say? She said your mother was tired of making special food, and that if you ate a normal plate without noticing, everyone could stop babying you. I closed my eyes. There are moments when betrayal feels dramatic. Like glass shattering, this one felt colder, like a door opening to a room you had been sleeping beside for years. My family had not only dismissed my allergy, they had tried to test it, not in a lab, not with a doctor. At an anniversary dinner, in front of guests, with my body as the experiment, love does not test your survival. I was discharged that afternoon. Liam offered to drive me home, and by home, he meant my apartment, not my parents' house. That distinction mattered. My parents were waiting near the hospital entrance. My mother looked smaller without her anniversary makeup. My father looked angry enough to call it concern. Brooke stood behind them, scrolling her phone until she saw me. "Maya," my mother said, "can we please talk privately?" I looked around, nurses at the desk, patients in wheelchairs, Liam beside me. "No, we can talk here." Her face tightened. She hated witnesses now. "I am sorry you were frightened," she said. "You mean you're sorry I reacted?" "No, I am sorry this got out of hand." "You mean out of your control." My father stepped forward. "Enough. Your mother apologized." I opened my phone and showed him the grocery list. His expression flickered. Just a small change, but I saw it. "Did you know?" I asked. He looked away. Brooke said, "Oh my God, Maya, it wasn't like that." I turned to her. "You wanted to prove whether my allergy was real." Her mouth opened, then closed. My mother whispered, "We thought if you didn't know, maybe you wouldn't panic." There it was, the confession, not complete, not clean, not apologetic. "But enough," I said. "You thought my allergy was psychological, so you secretly gave me the ingredient that could harm me." My mother covered her mouth. "Don't say it like that." "That is what you did." My father muttered, "You survived." Liam took one step forward, but I raised my hand. I wanted to answer this myself. Surviving you is not proof that you were right. For the first time, my father had no sentence ready. I pulled the discharge papers from my folder. My doctor recommended that I avoid unsafe food environments and reduce exposure to conflict. I will not attend family meals. I will not eat anything prepared by you. I will not come to your house. Do not contact my workplace. Do not post about me. If you keep spreading the anxiety story, I will share the photos and medical records with anyone you involve. Brooke stared at me. So you're threatening us? No, I said. I am making the truth available. My mother began to cry. You're cutting off your own family over salad dressing. No, I'm stepping away because you gambled with my safety to protect your opinion. The hospital doors opened behind me. Cool air moved across my face. It felt unreal that the world outside could be so ordinary while mine had just separated into before and after. I walked out without hugging them. That was my first act of peace. For 2 weeks I stayed quiet, not weak quiet. Strategic quiet, went to work. I attended my allergy follow-up. I started therapy. I changed my emergency contacts from my mother to my best friend Lena. I blocked Brooke. I muted my mother. I saved my father's messages in a folder labeled documentation. My family, meanwhile, grew louder. My mother told church friends that I had weaponized a food sensitivity. Brooke posted vague quotes online about people who destroy families for attention. My father called my uncle and said Liam had manipulated me because he enjoyed being a hero. Then my mother made her second mistake. She scheduled a family healing dinner at the same community center where she volunteered. On the invitation she wrote, "We hope Maya will come explain her role in the misunderstanding so our family can move forward." Explain my role. In being fed something I warned them about. I would have ignored it. But she invited extended relatives, church friends, and several people who had been at the anniversary dinner. She also wrote that future family invitations would depend on mutual accountability. There was the threat, apologize or be excluded, so I replied to everyone. I will attend if the discussion includes the ingredient photos, the hospital discharge notes, and the handwritten grocery list. For 10 minutes, no one responded. Then my Uncle Victor called. He was my mother's older brother, a retired fire captain who had missed the anniversary dinner because of a knee surgery. His voice was careful. "Maya, what grocery list?" I sent it. He called back 3 minutes later. "Bring everything." That was when I knew the healing dinner was not going to heal the story my mother had created. The community center smelled like coffee, floor wax, and old bulletin boards. Folding chairs were arranged in a semicircle, which meant my mother wanted feelings, not facts. At the front, she had placed a framed anniversary photo of herself, and my father, smiling beside gold candles. She wanted the room to remember romance before recklessness. Brooke sat near the front, arms crossed. My father stood by the doorway like security. My mother wore a soft blue dress and the exhausted expression of a woman prepared to be pitied. Liam came with me, not as a protector, but as a witness. My mother began before I sat down. "We are here because our family has been hurt by misunderstandings, fear, and public judgment." I placed my folder on the table. "No," I said. "We are here because I was served a known allergen after asking whether the food was safe." The room shifted. My mother's smile trembled. "Maya, please don't start with accusations. Then I will start with records." I connected my laptop to the community center screen. The first image appeared. The walnut oil bottle on the counter. Several people murmured. I clicked again. The ingredient label, clicked again. My dinner plate, clicked again. The grocery list, anniversary dressing, walnut oil, Maya plate, use same, don't make separate. This time, nobody murmured. They went silent. My Uncle Victor stood slowly. "Elaine, is that your handwriting?" My mother pressed a tissue under her eye. "I wrote a shopping list. I didn't mean it the way it sounds." Brooke jumped in. "Mom thought Maya's anxiety made everything worse. She was trying to help." Liam said, "Secret exposure is not help." My father snapped, "You have said enough." Victor turned toward him. "No, Robert." He called 911. He can speak. That was the second crack in the wall. I opened the hospital discharge note and read only one sentence. Patient reports known allergen exposure after being told food was safe. Then I looked at the room. I did not ruin my parents' anniversary. I did not perform for attention. I did not turn dinner into a medical scene. I asked a safety question. I was mocked. I ate what I was told was safe. Then I reacted. My mother whispered, "You make me sound like a monster." "No, I am describing what happened. How it sounds belongs to you." Then Mrs. Calder, one of my mother's church friends, raised her hand and said, "Elaine, you told us Maya never asked about the food." My mother's face changed. "Not much. Enough," Brooke said. "She asks every time." That's the problem. The room caught it. She realized too late what she had admitted. If I asked every time, then they knew every time. If they knew, then this was not confusion. Uncle Victor looked at Brooke. "Did you say before dinner that tonight would prove whether her allergy was real?" Brooke's eyes shot to Liam. He did not look away. "I was joking," she said. I laughed once, and it surprised everyone, including me. "What is the joke, Brooke?" "The part where I might react, or the part where you could call me dramatic if I did." She looked at the floor. "My father tried one last rescue. This family has always accommodated Maya. We changed recipes. We read labels. We couldn't live under fear forever." I looked at him. "You were not living under fear. I was." That sentence quieted him. For years my family had acted as if my allergy punished them. In that room for the first time, I made them see the reversal. Their inconvenience was not the same as my risk. I handed Victor copies of the photos and discharge notes. "I am requesting that my parents stop discussing my medical condition publicly, stop describing this as anxiety, and stop inviting me to meals where my safety is treated like a debate." My mother stared at me. "You would humiliate me in front of everyone?" "You did that yourself when you wrote down the plan." Mrs. Calder stood. "I don't think the church kitchen can accept your food donations until this is reviewed." My mother's mouth fell open. The community center manager, who had been standing near the coffee urn, cleared his throat. "And we will need to pause your volunteer meal coordinator role until our board discusses this." That was the moment my mother's tears became real, not because she finally understood my fear, because the consequence touched her reputation. Brooke grabbed her purse. "Congratulations, Maya. You got what you wanted." I looked at her. What I wanted was dinner without a hospital bracelet. No one followed her when she left. Before I walked out, my father said quietly, "You took this too far." I turned back. "No, you just never expected me to take it outside the dining room." The week after the meeting, my mother's version collapsed faster than I expected. People who had been at the anniversary dinner started remembering details differently once they had proof. A neighbor admitted she had heard Brooke say, "If Maya doesn't notice, maybe we can stop doing separate food." A cousin remembered my mother telling her, "I'm tired of cooking around imaginary fear." Someone else sent me a picture of the serving counter where my safe plate sat beside the same dressing bowl as everyone else's. The center paused my mother's kitchen duties. The church asked her to step down from the meal train committee. Not forever, they said, but until trust could be restored. That phrase mattered. Trust could be restored, not assumed. Not demanded, not owed because she cried. My father sent one text. "You have made your mother a public villain," I replied. Her choices had witnesses. He did not answer. Brooke stayed angry longer. She posted that some people collect screenshots because they don't have hearts. I did not respond. Then Liam's wife, my cousin Hannah, commented, "Some people need screenshots because families lie." Brooke deleted the post. The real consequence came a month later when my mother tried to volunteer at a school bake sale, and the coordinator asked her to complete allergy safety training first. That story reached me through Victor, who said it gently, but I still sat with it for a long time. My mother had spent years treating my allergy like a personality flaw. Now she had to sit in a classroom and learn why food labels matter. I did not celebrate it, but I did feel something settle. Not revenge exactly, correction. Meanwhile, my own life grew quieter. Kate was uncomfortable at first. When you grow up around constant criticism, peace feels like waiting for the next explosion. I had to learn that silence could be safe. In therapy, I wrote down every sentence my family had used to make me doubt myself. "You're too sensitive. You're making dinner difficult. Your mother tries her best. It's just one bite. Nobody else has a problem." Then my therapist asked me to write a response to each one. I wrote, "My body does not need permission to protect me. My safety is not a burden. Intent does not erase impact. One bite can be enough. Being the only one at risk does not make the risk imaginary." I cried after writing the last one. Not dramatically, not loudly, just enough to release something I had been holding since I was 13. My mother sent letters during that time. The first letter was terrible. It said she was sorry I felt endangered. It said she never meant to trigger my fears. It said families should not air private conflict in front of outsiders. I did not reply. The second letter was shorter. It said the church had made her complete allergy training and that she understood more now. I did not reply. The third letter arrived 3 months after the community center meeting. It contained no poetry, no excuses, no request for dinner. Just 4 sentences. "I used walnut oil because I believed your fear was exaggerated. I told myself I was helping you stop living scared. I understand now that I risked your safety to protect my pride. I am sorry." I read it at my kitchen table with my safe takeout container in front of me. For the first time, I believed she had named the act. That did not mean I trusted her. Naming harm is the first step. It is not the repair. I wrote back 1 page. "I acknowledge your apology. I am not ready to eat food you prepare or attend family meals. Future contact must happen in public places with no food involved. Do not ask me to make you feel forgiven." She replied, "I understand." I saved that message too, not because I expected failure, because trust with my family had to become documented before it could become emotional. An apology without changed behavior is just better wording. 6 months later, Victor invited me to a public park for his birthday lunch. He promised the food would be individually packaged from a restaurant with ingredients printed on each box. He also invited my parents and Brooke, but told everyone my conditions before I even asked. No homemade food. No jokes about Maya's allergy. No discussion of the anniversary dinner unless Maya starts it. Anyone who breaks that leaves. I almost said no, then I realized the old fear was no longer the only voice in the room. I went. My mother arrived carrying nothing, no casserole, no dessert, no surprise dish she wanted praise for, just a water bottle and a small purse. When she saw me, she did not rush forward. She did not cry. She asked, "Is it okay if I sit at the other end of the table?" That question was more respectful than any hug she could have forced on me. Brooke came late. She looked thinner, quieter, and less polished. She sat beside my father and did not speak for almost 20 minutes. Then, while Victor cut sealed cupcakes from a bakery box, Brooke walked toward me. "Can I say something?" I looked at her hands. "Empty." "Here." She swallowed. "I said awful things because it was easier to believe you were dramatic than to admit we were cruel. I thought if your allergy was exaggerated, then we weren't bad people for being annoyed. That dinner proved we were not annoyed. We were dangerous. I did not soften my face to make it easier. She needed to say it without reward. "I am sorry," she said. "I know that doesn't fix it." "No," I said. "It doesn't." She nodded. "Can I keep trying anyway?" That was different. Not "can we be okay?" Not "can you get over it?" "Can I keep trying?" I said, from a distance. Her eyes filled, but she nodded again. "Okay." My father did not apologize that day. He talked about weather, gas prices, and Victor's knee. He avoided me with the stubbornness of a man who believed silence protected his authority. Near the end of lunch, he said, "This family used to be simpler." I looked at him. No, it used to be quieter. Victor coughed into his napkin to hide a laugh. My father stared at the table. That was enough for one day. A year after the anniversary dinner, the school district held a food safety workshop for community volunteers. My director asked if I would share a short story about why allergy protocols matter. I hesitated because I did not want my pain turned into training material. Then I thought about every child who might be called picky, dramatic, difficult, or spoiled for asking whether food was safe. So I spoke. I did not name my family. I did not need to. I said, allergy safety is not about protecting people's preferences. It is about believing people before proof arrives through an emergency. The room was full of volunteers, parents, cafeteria workers, and community members. My mother was there. She had signed up quietly. She sat in the back row with a notebook open, writing down every word. After the workshop, she approached me near the hallway. "I didn't come to perform," she said. "I came to learn." I waited, she added, and to hear you without interrupting. That was the first time she had ever described listening as something she needed to practice. I did not hug her, but I said, "Thank you for coming." On the drive home, I pulled over because I started crying. Not because everything was fixed, because everything was different. Different can be painful. It can be awkward. It can feel like walking through a house after a fire, noticing which walls still stand and which rooms cannot be entered again. But different is sometimes the only honest beginning. My relationship with my family did not return to what it had been. That was the victory. I still do not eat their food. I still bring my own sealed meals when I choose to attend public gatherings. I still leave when someone makes even one joke about my allergy. I still keep Liam as my emergency contact, not my parents. Some people think that is harsh. They are usually people who have never had to wonder whether love would respect an ingredient label. My mother and I meet once a month for coffee. Not lunch. Not her kitchen table. Coffee cups are sealed. Boundaries are clear. Slowly, she learned to ask questions without defending herself. Brooke sends me photos of ingredient labels before family events, even when I do not attend. Sometimes it feels excessive. Sometimes it feels like accountability finding a new language. My father remains the hardest. He apologized eventually, but his first attempt was, "I'm sorry the dinner upset you." I told him to try again when he could say what he did without hiding behind my reaction. 3 weeks later, he sent a text. "I called you dramatic when I should have protected you. I was wrong." I stared at those words for a long time. Then I replied, "Thank you for saying it clearly. That is all. No instant forgiveness, no open invitation, no dramatic reunion, just one truthful sentence placed on a table that had once held something unsafe." Sometimes healing looks smaller than people expect. It looks like a blocked group chat that stays blocked. It looks like one public coffee instead of Sunday dinner. It looks like a mother learning food safety at 61. It looks like a sister saying dangerous instead of dramatic. It looks like a father discovering that pride is not worth more than a daughter's trust. And sometimes healing looks like choosing not to return, even when the apology finally improves. That is the part many people misunderstand. Boundaries are not temporary punishments designed to make people chase you correctly. They are safety rules. If people learn to honor them, access can change slowly. If they resent them, distance stays. Before I end this story, if you have ever been called dramatic for protecting yourself, please like this video and subscribe to She Chose Herself. Someone listening tonight may need to hear that their body, their fear, their memory, and their boundary are not overreactions. They are information. When I think back to that anniversary dinner, I no longer see only the moment my mouth started burning or my mother crying because people looked at her differently. I see Liam picking up the plate. I see the walnut oil bottle on the counter. I see the grocery list that said, "Use same, don't make separate." And I see the exact second the family story stopped being stronger than the evidence. For years, they had called me difficult because I asked what was in the food. But difficulty was never the real problem. The real problem was that my question forced them to care about something they wanted to dismiss. I used to think my allergy made me a burden. Now I understand the truth. A safe person does not need your danger to be convenient. That night, everyone thought the emergency began when I reacted to one bite. They were wrong. The emergency had been happening for years. Every time they laughed at my medical needs, every time they rolled their eyes at my questions, every time they treated my safety like a personal insult, the bite did not create the truth, it revealed it. And sometimes, the person accused of ruining dinner is simply the first one brave enough to show everyone what was really being served.